Hi, I'm McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today, do we have sound here? Technical difficulties. And today, needy, annoying, clingy partners. Are you one of them? This is a good way to look at it, because a lot of times people in relationships are constantly going, oh, my partner was this, my partner was that. Are you needy, annoying, or clingy? A little bit. So this is one of those things that you don't have to be an extreme version of this, right? What's up, Skinner? But do you have segments in relationships where you can be extremely needy, annoying, or clingy? So I numbered this out. We got 6 on deck already. Eduardo Martinez, welcome. And I'm going to be putting this up regularly in the live streams now, the invite. So if someone wants to come in, not be shy, talk about their problem, and if you want to talk about something that isn't necessarily a breakup, but something that's going on, I'm here for you. So if you come on and you add that link and you're kind of in the waiting room, as I say, give me a moment if I'm in the middle of talking about something, but I'm going to make this a regular part of the live stream now. So I really do believe that helping individuals goes a lot further than creating generalized advice, right? I'm going to come back to this again and again. So yesterday we had, day before last, we had a couple people come on. One in particular that's in a fresh breakup. When I don't have the story, I can't go as much in detail. And then being on the live stream, sometimes, tread lightly, because how much do you want to share on a live stream, right? On a YouTube. So it's up to you. But if you want to join in, that'd be great. That link's right there. And like I said, I'll make this a regular part of the show. So if you have friends or family and they're like, I want to get Mac's take on my situation, come to the live streams or book a live coaching session. All right, let's get into the topic today. This is a good question. Do you think, because I have to ask myself this, I absolutely don't identify with being needy at all. If anything, in relationships that I've been in, I can be a little distant at times, meaning I like my away time. I'm not one to call a lot to check in if you're out with your friends. So I don't fall into that at all. Annoying, I would say, if I have to be honest, in the past, not as much as now, I like to tease a little bit and joke around. Probably did that more when I was younger. So that can be a little bit annoying sometimes if some people aren't up for joking around. Clingy, never. Just never have been. Now let's just clarify that, and in the comments you can add to this topic. You could add to this topic in the sense, like, what do you define as needy, annoying, and clingy? So to me, needy is more like, oh, you didn't call me. I've been waiting up for you and you didn't even come home late. Annoying is when you keep on about something, right? It's like I always say the annoying salesman, someone that taps you on the shoulder 15 times, it gets annoying. It's repetitive acts of pettiness. Clingy, to me, is more affection based, where you need to be held or touched. It's more touch based. So, and the reason I'm not clingy in that way, I just didn't grow up that way. So in my household, we weren't highly affectionate. There wasn't a lot of hugs and kisses. And so I'm not like that in my relationships. It doesn't mean that I'm upset with someone else that acts that way. It's just a little bit foreign to me. I've gotten better with it as I've gotten older. And as you get older, you get more distant from the family you grew up around. Sometimes you can change your ways a little bit. So Number one, why? So this is a great question. If you feel like, actually, I am a little bit needy sometimes, or actually, I am a little bit annoying sometimes, or I'm a little bit clingy. Why? What triggers that? So the only one I've identified for myself in the past, I wouldn't say so much now with just becoming an adult, being annoying, it would just be my way of teasing someone or joking around. Being in a good mood, I like to joke around and tease. And when I was younger, I could definitely take it too far. Okay. And it would be annoying. Some people aren't in the mood to joke around, or your joke's not as funny to them as it is to you. Right. So why are you doing it? A client of mine recently had a similar situation where his sense of humor with friends, he makes these dark jokes, these jokes that don't always land well with everyone. And he's like, wow. And I said, well, what was your intention in doing it? I just thought I was being funny. So someone that's needy could be like, well, I just thought I was being caring. Think about that. So why? What triggers you to do it? And some people, I've been in relationships where women feel like because I'm not needy or checking in where you're at all the time, or even jealous, like, do you care? So for some people, being needy shows some kind of higher level of careness. So what triggers you to be needy, annoying, or clingy? Okay. To me, clingy people are just generally like that. Something happened when they were younger, and they're going to tend to be more clingy when they've been away from you for a long time. Number two, why do you put up with it? Why do you put up with, and this could be your partner saying this, but you could also say, why do you put up with the fact that if you've identified, it's like, oh, I'm this needy person. Are you getting a secondary gain from it? So what does that mean? Secondary gain is a really good thing to learn if you're going to self-diagnose, which a lot of people do now. And the secondary gain in being needy is it may have worked before. So, for example, the kid that cried when they were young and then got the teddy bear or the ice cream, well, it worked. If someone had a nanny when they were a kid and the minute they cried, they got attention, it worked. Now, they don't know that's why they're needy, but once they do, it kind of helps, right? Because then you're like, oh, this is where this comes from. So the idea that, oh, I'm just this way, it's never like that. So if you're wondering, like it was just mentioned by Riflin, I'm opposite of needy. There's also some reason for that. Probably when you were younger, your family wasn't as affectionate. And like I often say, when I was a kid, you didn't get rewarded for crying. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, now I'm going to buy you that. It would either be ignored, or if my dad was around, maybe you get a sharp stare, but you weren't going to get rewarded for it. And you can see that with friends and family or with your own kids. If you start rewarding that, then it's a playbook. So the annoying thing is a little bit different because you're like, where would be the secondary gain? I think the annoying is more someone's ignorant to something they want, and they want you to agree to with, and you're not in the mood, or you just don't agree and they're not getting the picture. Clingy is, like I said, it's more affection based. It's more, I want to be held. I want to be hugged. I want to kiss when you come in the door. And this can be spurred by a situation where the only time I think I've been lightly clingy, and when I say that, it's like not very much. I remember when I was in a relationship and we were pulling apart, and we had a great relationship. We were very close. So it was very foreign to me. So I started asking for a kiss before she left. Totally out of character for me. Not something that was needed in the past. That was a reaction and overcompensation to the fact that, wait a minute, we're losing touch here. Maybe this will work. But the extreme case of an individual that's clingy, they just constantly want attention, physical attention, hugs, kisses, because that's maybe what they grew up with. They maybe had a mother or father or a caregiver that was very loving, touching, feeling. And so that's what they identify love to be. And you're like, just get away from me. I've had this happen before. Like, please. I didn't yell like that, but just, can you just give me some space? Like, I don't always need to cuddle on the couch. And they might take that as personal. Like, you don't want, no, I like my space sometimes. Okay. Now, there's also cases where individuals were really neglected when they were young, and they're on the opposite spectrum of this, where they're extremely, like, they don't like to be touched at all. Right? I have a client like that now. It wasn't that he was molested. It was more he was abandoned. He's got a lot of dark things towards that. But he said, when I'm in the bedroom, I'm fine. So that can throw a partner off. Like, I don't get it. Right? You'll never get it because you're not them. Always remember that. Whenever you're judging someone's feelings or the way they do things, you'll never completely understand it because you're not them. You never went through their life. They've come to these conclusions of how things are. So they don't identify with, oh, I'm needy and clingy usually. They just think, well, this is how it's supposed to be when you're in love. Okay. The other one, do you always feel like you're not enough? So needy individuals generally have this blanket statement, I don't feel like I'm enough. And the minute someone starts to show that they're not enough by maybe showing attention to someone else, maybe having an extended conversation at a cocktail party. I don't even know if people still do cocktail parties. That sounds like an old statement. But you know what I mean? They have an extended conversation and you're like, do they like them? Am I not good enough? So this is one of those ones that's a reoccurring theme. That usually stems from maybe when you were a kid, not getting enough attention. And so you get triggered. Or not being the cool kid. I'm doing a lot of deeper work these days. Someone was mentioning yesterday that they made the basketball team. So this guy made the basketball team when he was in middle school. And he's like, I wasn't really good at basketball, but I made the team. I came home and I told my parents, and they started laughing as if it was a joke and seemed surprised. And he's like, it just made me feel really bad because I know I wasn't good, but I made the team. And the reality is, you could still make a basketball team and not be good if there's not a lot of competition and there's 15 players and it's middle school. So he carried that. Now he carries that, and now he goes around going, oh, even when I do good achievements, you know, I still don't get credit for them. So when you find that out and you go deeper and deeper and deeper layers, you can alleviate some of the neediness, if that makes sense. Now, do you feel like they don't love you that much? This one comes up. I've been in a relationship like this where it's like, you don't love me as much. It's like, well, I just don't move as fast as you do. For men, not always, but I would say more than women, they want to take their time a little bit more before they say, I love you, or exude strong feelings. Now, that doesn't mean that there's some needy, annoying, clingy guys. The interesting thing, a needy, annoying, clingy guy, he's going to have a lot of bad luck. He's going to have a lot of bad relationships, right? Or he's going to be taken advantage of and become a doormat. It doesn't line up well. Needy, annoying, clingy women, they still get partners. Guys will still put up with it longer if there's a secondary gain like good intimacy. Okay, so this is kind of important for guys. And the way you can judge if this is true, do you complain a lot to your partner? And I'm not just saying like overall in your life, but do you complain a lot? Right? So let's just go through those really quick. Needy, annoying, clingy. Why? What triggers you? If you want to know more about yourself being this way, what triggers you to be needy, annoying, and clingy? Right? A lot of times it's if someone just starts going out regularly and not calling you, or changing their behavior. Let's say you've been in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 year relationship, and all of a sudden they do a U-turn on their behavior. This will usually trigger some needy behavior because you're wondering, what did I miss here? If it's not clear, you're staying out late now, you're giving me less attention. A secure individual can turn needy in those situations. Okay. I've been in that situation once before, and I remember thinking like, what's this? Because I'm not like this. And you'll know because you don't identify that way. So the circumstances are pushing you in that direction. You're not just that way. So just understand what the trigger is, or if it's just a habit. Number 2, why do you put up with it? Why is it something that you're like, I'm just this way? Number 3, do you always feel like you're not enough? Very common theme. Do you feel like they don't love you that much? Very common theme on clingy and needy people. And do you complain a lot? All those things over time, like I said, men put up with it way more because they feel like it's a feminine act, and if there's a secondary gain, and in some ways, a needy woman or a clingy woman at least displays to the man that you're the one. Men love to be respected. They like to feel like they're the one, as in one person. Men are highly attracted to loyalty. Okay, and so if someone's needy or clingy, where women would say, "Oh yeah, loyalty's up there," but if it means that you're going to be needy and clingy, no, because then you're not displaying leadership qualities. You're not displaying masculine qualities. List goes on. And if you talk to 100 different women, that would probably be the biggest one where they're just, and sometimes when women break up with guys, they don't identify it as being needy or clingy. They come up with different reasons, but that's what it is. It's just an attraction killer. Oh, what's up, Laquita? Okay, perspective, guilty. Does clinginess abandonment issues from their past? No, not necessarily. Good question. So, it's not that simple. This equals that. Great analogy to equal something, because math is only true to math, right? 2 + 2 is 4. All other things are opinion based. Even what I'm talking about right now. So, does clinginess equal abandonment issues from their past? Yes, not always. So let's just say someone grew up with really good parents. Maybe we're in a secure environment. I believe if their parents were very nurturing, very affectionate, maybe overly coddling, or the word I would use is sheltered. If they're in certain situations as adults where you just kind of like, I'm comfortable. Maybe you move to a new city, you have to meet new people, and they're really uncomfortable, so they're more attached to you in those situations. So it doesn't necessarily mean they were abandoned. It could be they were too coddled. It's amazing to me how a person's past can and will affect their lives in the future. Very, very broad statement, but it's worth a good hour-long conversation. It's even deeper than that. So that's good that you recognize that, Eduardo. It's not just their past, it's their experiences and moments. So I'm doing a lot of work now with hypnosis, going into past moments sometimes, and also using that EFT tapping technique. It's funny, a client of mine just sent me a message that it was on the Today Show. Someone was doing tapping. So this tapping's no secret. This tapping method, EFT, emotional freedom technique, there's different versions of it. Basically, what people have done is they've taken this method and they've made it their own 100 different ways. And that way it's, a specialer recipe. It's something that absolutely works. But going back to this, there's one that I do right now where you go 0 to 5 and you write down your worst moments, 0 to 5. Anything that comes up. I had an ice cream thrown in my face by my brother. I'll never forget that. And then the next one might be, when I was 5 years old, dad left home and didn't come back. I remember that day. And then there's one that's like, I remember the teacher got mad because my handwriting was bad. I don't know why that's coming up, but it came up. Then you go 5 to 10. Then you go 11 to 16. And the interesting thing is you go through all these moments. It takes like 2.5 hours, right? And some of the moments you're like, does it mean, like after talking about it, it's like, that doesn't even mean that much anymore, but it was still there. And then the ones that are still charged or still a problem, like when you bring them up, you feel emotion. you need to tap on those and go through them and clear them. And just afterwards, you didn't erase the moment. You just rearranged it as not being so important or heavy. But when you go through these moments, you realize, man, this is a lot of the reasons the way I am, right? I'm doing well, Justin. Thank you. So how to combat this? Number one, where's it coming from? And so let's just start with that, is that when you have, like, instead of saying, oh, my partner's needy, it's not going to fix the problem. Like, you think that by pointing that out, they'd be less needy. Actually, they're probably going to be more needy. Or your partner keeps saying you're needy. And then you're like, no, I'm not. Or, yeah, I've always been that way. How do you combat it? This is solution-based mindset. This is what I buy into. Okay. So where's it coming from? Childhood or a past relationship? And the way you can do this is you just go, all right, I've been feeling needy or whatever, or I've been told I was needy. And you go, when was the first time I felt really needy? Whatever pops up, that's probably one of the first seeds to it. Okay. So knowing where it's coming from, and then specifically in your relationship, if it's coming from a spot, where's it coming? Well, he works nights. I don't see him till the weekends, and then he's out with his friends, so I don't get any time with him. That's why I'm needy. Well, that's a legitimate reason. Number two, what's the gain? What's the gain? What's the gain by being needy? Now you're like, why would someone gain anything by being needy? Like I said, you've seen kids before that are little brats and get their way. They're displaying needy behavior and it works. It's a playbook. They might have had a partner that liked to play that kind of game, where if someone acts needy, they get their way. Okay. Get space and hobbies. I don't even know if anyone even uses the word hobbies anymore that much. It seems like a word that's, I think a lot of people's hobbies are shopping more than anything else. Get space and get hobbies. This is a big one. So if you feel like, especially the annoying one, if you get space and you feel like you can catch your breath and kind of assess if this is true or not, that's a big one. But a lot of people don't take time to get space in their relationship. Have many people told you before that you are needy? This is how you'll know if it's probably true. Are you okay being alone? Right? So how you combat it is how you get to the bottom of it. And how you accept, you know what, I am a needy person. So it's kind of interesting because a few people like Rye Flint just, I'm the opposite to needy. But let me ask you this, Rye Flint. Has there been a situation where you have to admit I was a bit needy? B just walked in the room right now. So go ahead and say hello so they know you're here. Guys? There's been like 5 people asking about you.
I'm here. I made it.
All right. So.
Yeah, I agree with Rye Flint. I'm the same. But there's been times where I've been needy, I'm sure.
Do you want to share?
No, I'm good.
All right. All right, fine.
Let me just get my drink. I'm good.
That's the thing that's interesting about it, though. When you do get into it, because you're like, I'm not a needy person, then you know something's circumstances have changed. Mm-hmm. Right? Because there's even people that would say, oh, I'm not confident. There's always something you're confident in. So, for example, the most unconfident person. This is something I used to do when teaching English as a second language. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when you're speaking another language, you can lose your confidence. You can be uncomfortable. It can be frustrating.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I would say, I always stand by that. In order to have any kind of confidence at all, you actually just need to be good at a few things.
I've heard you say that before. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So some people you meet people and they go, I'm not good at anything. Nothing. I can't come up with anything. It's like, there's people out there. It's like you teach 35, 40 students a term in college, and they're like, there's plenty of them. That's their answer. It's like, all right. And I could always get one for them. What do you think it is? Because there's one thing that you're always an expert on, that you always can have supreme confidence on. What is there one thing that someone says, oh, especially associated with language. So dealing with ties, I would say, is there one that, no, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. It's like, you read and write Thai, right? Yeah. You speak Thai, right? Better than most people in the rest of the world. And if you guys have ever seen the Thai alphabet, I don't even know where to get started. I wouldn't even know how to
dissect it.
No, it's nothing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's how crazy. Would you? I don't even know how to climb that mountain, right? And that's not a negative. But my point is, right when I say that, I'm like, you're a Thai genius with language. You're extremely confident when you speak Thai because you know it. Now, fortunately for myself, English is the most useful language. It's not the best. It's not the number one. It's just the most used in the world. Maybe Spanish is number two. And fortunately for me, I'm a pro. Why? Because I was born with it. I was speaking since I was young. So there's always something that you can find that you're actually not seeing that you're really good at. Right? It's like living in Thailand. Something that people aren't good at, maybe in California where I grew up. Over here, everyone can ride a bike, like a motorbike, motorcycle.
Oh, they've been doing it since they were like 9 years old.
Right? They can multitask, they can do a bunch of things. Someone comes over here on a holiday and they're like, oh, let me rent a bike. And it's like, maybe you shouldn't. Because it's dangerous and you watch behind and you could just see the inexperience, like going side to side, right? But if you go back to the States and you drive a car, my point is, when you're in a relationship, let me circle back. When you're in a relationship and you start losing your confidence in the relationship, there's some part of that relationship that's changed. And you're like, I don't get this. Someone's speaking another language here. We've been together 4 or 5 years. This isn't how things were before. And so your neediness comes from, let me try to figure this out. Let me try to fix this. Let me just try to fix this. And sometimes the default to that, if you're a nice person, is to be more nice, more accommodating, because you're like, let's just get back to where we were. The clingy part can come from that too. It's like if someone stops being affectionate, but for 2 or 3 years they were pretty affectionate, then you can be more clingy. So this can be developed outside of just daddy issues, which is a blanket term, or abandonment issues. This can be created in a relationship where the circumstances changed and you're like, I didn't get the fucking memo. You know what I mean? Like, okay. And you're not, because you don't do what I do and see all the things. I could see all the moving parts. I can go like this. Well, where do they work? Did they just start working somewhere, or did they start hanging out with new groups of friends? Those two things.
Like the biggest impacts?
Yeah. I mean, I can sit here and go 90% is not true, because I don't know if it's 90%.
But just what you've seen.
Like if you're going to, and this is what happens too. Someone will go, yeah, she actually started another job 6 months ago, right around the same time. And I'm like, doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Doesn't mean she went into that job and was like, yeah, we need some changes. She probably took the job, or he took the job because it was good money, good opportunity, or just needed a job. Now, there's all kinds of things, because what that is it's taking more of your time, and then they're going to be around other people that are going to influence who they are and how they act. And you just don't realize how much that is. If they're with someone 8 to 10 hours, manager, colleagues, human beings are going to be influenced. Now, someone's like, oh, I'm not a follower. You're still going to be influenced by it over time. Then the other thing is, oh, they have the same job, but this is a classic. Their friend just broke up with their husband and wants to go out.
Newly single.
Yeah. And wants to sow her oats and, be on dating apps. So the circumstances for the friend changed. So now she wants to be there. So these are the things that come up in a relationship that can create neediness, because the person on the other end is like, I didn't change my circumstances. So no, it's not always abandonment issues. Now, that's where you identify when you first start dating someone. If it's happening in the get-go, don't complain about it later, because that means that's embedded. That means that's deeper in there. And even if you confront them on it, like, hey, don't be so jealous. Hey, you're being really needy right now. They're not even going to be knowing they're doing it, because and that's when it might be abandonment issues, or it might be something else. And that's when you have to say, do I want to put up with this? Because it's going to be all right. Like I said, before you came on, I said, men tend to be okay with this more than women. A needy woman, or because they're loyal, they feel like, or they feel important. Mm-hmm. So, all right. We've got a lot of regulars here, but if anyone has any questions pertaining to their relationship or this topic, or if you want to jump on, I have the invite link if you want to talk about some things live, and you don't have to necessarily show your face if you don't want to show your face. I know that's a bold move sometimes, especially it's a late night over there for you, so you're probably not ready, right? It's like, what? Right now?
Or at work.
That's interesting how Skinner put it. He said, I'm the same as you, Mac. I like my girls a little needy to balance out my distance. Ooh. It's one of those things when you talk about neediness, it's just under what circumstances, right? So if people are creating narratives or stories that are false, so if someone's really needy, they'll create like, I know you were out with someone else, right? That's more than jealous. It's also needy. They'll create a story to support that because they're so damn needy. Question: what about those that are attracted to the clingy types and try to develop their attraction around that? And if things get normal, then they are no longer into it. I'm sure there's. That's a great question, Rob. I asked. I'll call you Rob. Because I'm just thinking of a situation where I've had a couple friends that are with. They're both clingy.
So they kind of feed off of each other.
Yeah, they're both like. Yeah. I mean, like I look at it, and I'm like, God, you guys are both clingy. Those are those mushy, cushy couples that are like can't get their hands off each other, have to feed each other. Right. Do you feed each other in the restaurant when you're in a relationship?
No, I've never been.
You've never been fed? No. Have you? Has it been attempted?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm just like, no, I'm good. I'm okay.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I'm like, no, I don't want to get fed. Just hand it to me.
I have a balance, I'm cool with like holding hands like we talked about before and, showing some PDA a little bit, but like that kind of stuff. I mean, it's fine. I don't mind anybody that does it, but for me, I'm cool.
So what I would say to your question, what about those that are attracted to clingy types and try to develop their attraction around that? The interesting thing is it's not that simple because it's situational probably. So like I just said, circumstances can change with a job or new friends. Right. It doesn't mean that the person isn't less clingy. It might be a clingy person is susceptible to be clingy to friends or clingy to
relationships in general.
Well, look at it like this. Let's say you had a clingy girlfriend and you're like, as a man, you're like, well, it's not surprising, right? I mean, I am pretty good, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And it feels good, right? But it's like, later on, I'll give you a hug, but it kind of, but if she goes and starts a job where she's there 8 or 9 hours a day and she's getting that attention from a manager, she might shift that clinginess.
I was just going to say it's shifted.
It makes sense, right? Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, is it always the case? No, but
it can happen.
Yeah. They can be susceptible to that. Right. But you never, if someone's clingy from the beginning and you feel like you're going to develop attraction around that, I think what it feels like is a deeper attraction when a woman's clingy with you because they're on you a lot, but it could be smothering. But You're saying if things got normal,
So they kind of
they're no longer into it.
Yeah.
That would be one of those things that they probably witnessed their parents or their aunts and uncles or whoever was around them when they were young in clingy relationships. So that's their model. Or their first relationship, like in high school, they were with someone that was clingy and they told them, well, this is how, or clinginess was a prerequisite to intimacy. So let's say that some guy had a girlfriend that like, that's guys are like fee fi fo. It's like, what's it gonna take? You know, I'll dance on the table, hun. Okay, you want me to do that? I'll do it. So if he's with a clingy girlfriend he's highly attracted to, and she's like, come over here and give me a kiss on the cheek, come give me a hug in the back of his head, is this gonna work for later on? Or some people might be going, what do you mean? I'm like, does that make V's like,
makes sense? Yeah,
he's danced on tables before. It's like, guy, you know, you ever think about how you train your animals? You know, like a dog. It's like sit, they get a treat, right? Like guys would be totally fine with that a lot of times. Some guys are like, not me, but a lot. Like, you know what? Because talking to guys again, they're like, I just want to get to that place where, like, can we just be cool? It's like, you don't want to be cool. You just want to hook up at the end of the night.
Exactly.
Even if it's your girl, like, can we just sleep together again?
Can we just do that? Come on.
I don't know why I'm still going back to this. I'm like, well, have you talked to anyone else? Have you been? No. It's a dry spell, huh? Yeah. Oh, I miss her. You miss her more on Friday night? Yeah. It's like, well, intimacy. Have you dated some women that are so clingy in the beginning that you're just like, please?
Not like crazy over the top or anything. I can't think of any chick that was like that. No, not too bad, but a little bit, you know, where it was kind of turned off a little bit by it. So
I think annoying is it probably goes hand in hand with the fact that if someone texts or calls you a lot. Have you dated anyone that you don't answer their text or call and they just call again?
Yes.
Your face right there.
Yeah.
That's like one of those, like, really?
I
didn't pick up and you called me again. I had one girl that I was dating like that, and I was just like
you have 15.
It's not a red flag. It's called you're done. It's curtain, son. It's done. It's like, you've done that again. We just went on a few dates and kind of hooked up, and it was great, and you ruined it. And then you answer, and it's like, why didn't you answer your phone? It's like, I didn't want to talk to you. I was busy. Like, and a lot of times you'll come up with an excuse, but really you're like, why'd you call me 15 times? You're not answering your phone. I know. Because you were calling. I did have one Corey Wayne video that I saw in a feed today. Once a girl becomes submissive towards me, I lose interest quick. I thought that was an interesting topic. I'm gonna unpack it really quick. This video. I guess no one wants to jump on. No one's bold enough to get in the hot seat today.
It's all right. I'll take it. I'll be in the hot seat.
Right. A lot of people are asking. I'm gonna keep it a secret as long as we can. But there's like, what does B look like? What's going on with him? Why is he so shy?
That was just clutch.
Let's see here. And you know, it's ironic about some synchronicities. It's funny because in this video or this little short clip from Corey Wayne's channel, once a girl becomes, the questions. Once a girl becomes submissive towards me, I lose interest quick. Any tips? So that's the question. And it's so ironic. He starts talking about pickup artists. And that was our topic yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought we'd touch on this. It's only a 5-minute.
That was pretty interesting to hear, like, clutch, you know.
Really?
Yeah. Because I had no idea about this community. So
I didn't know he did 6 years of duty.
Like
I found it
interesting. Tours.
I felt like it was interesting. He's like, along the way, I had a girlfriend for 2 years. I'm like, how does that work?
Mm-hmm. Like during all your pickup artistry.
Kept my gun in the closet, man. You know, just
right.
second tour of duty. I was just there to support the other guys,
the troops.
But what he was talking about learning how to communicate better, maybe gaining some confidence, I think that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Especially for a lot of those guys, like you said, that needed that. You know, maybe for whatever reasons, like, you know.
I just thought also there'd be a large percentage, which he said was true, where it was like, yeah, no, I just want to use this to get one.
Just to find one.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like in other words,
yeah.
I don't want to slay 100 women and talk about it online. You know, I'm more interested in I found the one.
Right.
I bet they got given a lot of shit over that. Because to me, even if you start out being single, at some point, if you're meeting quality women, or if you're a woman dating men, whatever it is, you're gonna meet your match. I always just feel like you're gonna meet one that maybe it's not good for you, but you don't want to.
Right.
You don't want to quick in and out there. All right, so let's talk about this. All right, I'm gonna pull this one up. All right, we'll play this real quick. I think it's a good one.
Towards me, I lose interest quick. Thoughts?
Maybe you belong to the streets, bro. Or maybe
once a girl becomes submissive towards me, I lose interest quick. Thoughts?
Maybe you belong to the streets, bro. Or maybe, I mean, at the end of the day, if your girl becomes submissive, then that should be a compliment to you that you're acting like a man. But as soon as a woman becomes submissive, you want to kick her to the curb. I would have to say you probably weren't that into her in the first place. That tells me that you don't like hanging out with her. You don't really want to listen to what she has to say. Because if you're with somebody you really click with, just like your closest friends, you want to listen to what they got to say. You want to hear them out. You're interested in their lives. You're interested in the same things that they tend to be interested in. And if she becomes submissive, maybe it's when he just hooks up with the girl and he wasn't really that into her. He just wanted to plow her field, her strawberry fields forever. And once he does that, he's out. So it's like, stop chasing after mediocre women. That's what I would say. I'd say go after women who knock your socks off, not just average women. I'd say you have low standards, so raise your standards a little bit.
But what if she is like a girl of high standards and she wants to be submissive? And
if she's a high status woman and he loses interest or blows her off, it's like she's gonna go find somebody else. She's gonna know what she's got.
Right.
She's gonna know what she brings to the table.
Maybe he shouldn't be dating.
I'd say he's settling.
Or he's
dating mediocre women that he's not that into.
Or maybe he's hooking.
Just catching something personal in between the two of them. There's some kind of personal message right there. What I was going to say is there's a lot of maybes. Maybe it's this. This is what happens when you get a broad question.
It's a very short, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's interesting. Well, maybe it could be this. Well, maybe it could be that. It's like until you get the whole story, right? But I would say that if you're losing interest quickly, this is what I thought was just a totally different answer than Corey Wayne or Sidekicks. Possibly you don't like submissive women.
Or it was like a challenge.
So I know that's a masculine, feminine thing, and you know, a masculine guy's like, well, that's what we're looking for. It's like maybe you don't like submissive women. Maybe you like a woman that's a little tougher, more independent, or something like that. So I would change the question from you know, why don't I like when they do this, to maybe you just don't like submissiveness, right? The other thing is, maybe that's the game or playbook you're running, that once now I got her.
It was the challenge.
Yeah, and I had a client a while back that he said he just enjoyed getting
playing the game,
getting the girl, and then it was like a turn off afterwards. So to me, that's more of you know, an ego thing, which is fine, especially guys in their 20s, because I hooked up with another one. You can tell your friends. And how many guys have bragged or something like that. And women brag about their conquests too in different ways with their girlfriends. But I would just say maybe it's not about the submissiveness. Maybe it's you just wanting to that proves to you that you got them, and you don't want a long-term relationship.
But also too, that kind of plays into what he said. Maybe you probably aren't that into her, like in general.
Yeah.
If that happens, right? So it's both things.
But he's saying, whoever it was,
Right.
once a girl becomes submissive towards me, so specifically, I lose interest quick.
Right.
So to me, it could be you're just not that interested, but it also could mean that you're not that interested in submissiveness, right? So
there's what ifs here.
There's a lot of what. Yeah, you'd have to ask some more questions to really give them tailored good advice. But like I said, there's a lot of guys and women out there. If I just high quality, whatever that means, because that's the term, right? You're a high quality,
high status.
I agreed with what he said. Well, they're going to meet someone else, so it's no big thing to them.
Sure.
But individuals that are identifying with the numbers game and that being able to, like, again, going back to circle of friends, if you and your friends, that's what you do, where you're like, damn, I hooked up with this girl. Like, to me, what game are you playing?
Right.
It's not necessarily that. Do you even want a girlfriend?
Or are you just playing the game?
Right. And where do you go to meet these women that are so submissive? So then you could see, how much. All right, here, let's go.
Not too much.
Maybe he's got a body count in the hundreds by now, and
he's bored.
He doesn't love himself, doesn't value himself, and so the only way he feels like he can feel anything is to hook up with somebody. But if you're just going out and you're sleeping with random girls, then you never want to hang out with them again, then that's kind of psychopathic behavior. You look at other, and you'll notice this like in the pickup artist community. Like a lot of those guys that teach pickup, they just seem like dirty, scummy, kind of underhanded dudes that you're like, they seem like they should be working on like those used car lots in dodgy areas and with bad comb overs and pocket protectors in their shirt and a nasty looking tie. Shirt's got coffee stains on it. It's just like they just got a low energy.
It's kind of funny after talking to Clutch. Clutch didn't teach pickup artistry, I would say, but it's kind of interesting how someone comes up with a stereotype for that.
Yeah.
And I like outside of Clutch or him coming on the show, I don't know that many people directly that would say that they were actual pickup artists. I wouldn't say that stereotype. I think before that, I would get my stereotype from the book, The Game, watching a couple of TV shows. I definitely think there's more than one type of pickup artist. I would say that there's ones that are naturally good at it.
That's what Clutch was saying too.
That are naturally good at it, but to me, they like. Isn't it fun to be good at something? You know what I mean? Like,
right. It's like me playing golf or something.
Me
like
playing basketball when I
sure.
was younger. It's like I want to play basketball more because I'm good at it.
Right.
But I'll also play it with people that aren't as good.
Show them I'm pretty good at this.
Right. But so to me, the ones that get into it where they've been in a dry spell, they have trouble with women, they're going to learn some skills and they could become that kind of guy. But it was kind of funny, his description and how it goes to that point. I thought it was interesting, though, that he's saying, like, guys that you're just sleeping with women that you don't want to hang out with after. Sometimes you don't know till after.
Yeah.
But if you have a pattern where you're on just search and destroy missions all the time, and that's your prerogative, it's probably not going to last long. That it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if you're a psychopath, though. That seems extreme.
I've heard him say that a few times, I think, in other videos where he's gone a little extreme. He's like, that's psychopathic.
Well, he goes a little deeper about the psychopath thing. I'll just finish it because it's not a long video. Hold on a sec here.
Okay.
The low integrity type of vibe.
That's very specific.
Filter myself.
That's very
They
specific.
belong in a porno.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like if you're sleeping with that many people, it's like glorified masturbation. It's like if you just sleep with a girl once and you don't want to be with her again, you weren't that into her in the first place. That's reality.
Or you thought you
Because he was
were.
impatient. Maybe he's impatient. Or, like I said, every guy that I know that's slept with hundreds of women, they're kind of psychopathic, and every single one of them's gotten a disease of some kind. Some of them multiple times because they raw dogging it, and they're just kind of psychopathic. You know, they have like dead eyes. Their eyes are like they don't really move when they talk. Their eyebrows don't move when they talk. They just kind of have a dead look to themselves.
It's literally
they're-
temporary bliss.
They're dead on the inside. They feel nothing for nobody.
I think we should do like a Pictionary of this one day. Give like a generic vision of.
It's pretty heavy.
That's
huh?
pretty fucking.
It's kind of funny what he was describing about psychopath's face.
Yeah, like you're dead. You're dead inside.
To me, that's
dude.
what happens when people do Botox.
Oh, being like their lack.
I've
of
talked to you about this.
expression.
Yeah, like I'm like, what's
Yeah.
wrong with this person? Like, why are they?
They just literally.
I've
Can't
talked
move.
about that before. They don't have like any emotion here. Like there's no crow feet. There's no.
Well, no, those little like social cues that you get.
Yeah,
you know,
you're
from
like,
people's- you know,
what?
you don't get
I've
those.
worked with some guy, and I thought, why are you looking like Jim Carrey in The Mask all the time, dude? Like he had like a 20% like grin in the face.
Mhm.
Yeah, man.
all the time.
Yeah. What he's talking about is like crazy eyes.
Yeah, like you said, like you're dead inside. He goes
Like-
pretty hard on them.
Or they're addicts, not dead inside. Victoria Vaughn, good to hear from you. I remember you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that could be
Could be,
it.
could
Yeah,
be.
like I'm saying, his description was
it's just very
right.
yeah.
It's kind of
Like,
like
you
it's
would-
like they're psychotic.
Like it seemed
They've
personal.
got multiple
like, I don't know.
diseases. It's like, whoa, dude,
Mhm. Like okay.
that's personal.
That
100 plus.
just-
We and you have talked about this
Uh-huh.
before. Like, who keeps a tally of 100?
like if you're above like 50, like are you still going?
That's a good
Right.
sign of someone that's just that's incredible ego, right? I think
Yeah.
who's that guy? Because you're good with names of these celebrity guys. Is it Sterling? He's a porn star now, and he does Sterling
he's on-
Cooper.
He's on YouTube. Yeah, Sterling Cooper.
Yeah, and I just
he's part of
know
the Andrew Tate kind of stuff that was
Yeah.
going on. That's where I saw him first.
kind of red pill in
Uh-huh.
some ways.
Yeah. He got big from doing red. I don't know if it's specifically red
Yeah, and
pill,
he's
but it's
one
like
of the,
that stuff.
he's one of those. He was like, I've seen him in a brief interview year, but someone was like, "Oh, you're in the porn industry," and I think the person that was interviewing him said something like, "Oh, you've been with hundreds of women." He goes, "Thousands." And I thought to myself,
Well, at least he's probably got like a sheet of movies that he's done, so he knows, right?
treat that guy with a hazmat suit, huh? It's like
Mm-hmm.
thousands. I don't know if that's for, like when someone says something like that, right?
Mhm.
And they think it's like, no, I want to get that credit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like from who? Even if it was true, right?
Mhm.
Like you've been with a couple thou. You never even say it. You never even know it, right? Even if you were with a couple thousand, would you
Mhm.
want to tell?
No, I mean just my personality. No.
Would you be like, hey man, actually in my
I've slayed.
20s,
Yeah.
I was doing to get to 1,000, you'd have to do like 2 a day for, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just ridiculous.
Well, that's like Bill Russell. Is it Bill Russell?
Wilt Chamberlain.
Will Chamberlain. That's who it was.
I think he was doing a biography in a book,
Mhm.
and being that he was in his 60s and a professional
Right.
ball player,
Oh yeah, on the road.
probably was true.
Oh yeah.
I think he
I
was
had
saying it
no-
more or less like credit. I know what you're talking about, 'cause
yeah,
that
I
was
know.
all over the news,
Right.
right? He's a ball player. I
Mhm.
mean,
I'm
That's
sure a
a
lot of those
different
guys,
echelon of
it is-
status.
It is
7 foot tall, let alone
Mhm.
6 feet tall. But
rock star or
I'm saying that when you want to define like getting credit for that, it's like
Mhm.
within what group is that cool? You know what I mean? It's
Right.
definitely not going to pull a high value woman. She's not going to go, "Oh, you've been with 2,000. I want to be
Oh,
2001."
yeah. Yeah.
But there could be a phase where that's look at how much music. If you listen to a certain genre of music or movies,
Mhm.
you could certainly glorify some of this, right? I mean, There's a lot of that out there. So it's kind of interesting though that it went from on that question to that where he was like, oh, if you don't care about who you're, sleeping with. I think there is a time though that some people, men and women, have hooked up and the next day we're like, yeah, that was a mistake, or I just don't have those feelings, or whatever. I drank too much or something like that. And I don't think they're psychopathic or have no feelings. But if that's going to be someone's act long term, it's just funny. They're probably acting that way because within their friends or group that they hang out with, that's cool. Right. And
they're getting validated from it.
Somehow. That's whatever. It's fine. It's kind of interesting though, huh?
The way he broke that down was, and I like his old school kind of slang or stuff that he throws in there every now and then. It's funny.
He's popular, man.
He's good, but yeah, he's great.
Have you read his book 3% Man?
No, I've just started, kind of getting into this area since the last few months. And
what's this area? Go ahead and say it.
Relationship. YouTube, that kind of stuff. And seeing all these guys, like he's definitely.
What's the biggest thing you've learned?
Oh wow. There's a lot of different situations. A lot of people are going through stuff. If you're going through it, that you're not alone, type of thing.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point because
you feel like I think we've all gone through something in. During it, a lot of times you'll feel like, man, you feel so down. You feel like, you're alone, but there's a lot of people going through the same thing. So,
right. And similar stories.
I've heard a lot of things that, you're
like, oh,
wow. Okay.
I wasn't the only one.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
That's probably the biggest one. But there are a lot though. There are a lot that I've seen just in the last, few months. Yeah.
It is. That's interesting they said that too, because just not feeling like you're the only one, you're alone, or someone had a similar experience just helps a little bit because when you go to your friends and family, it doesn't usually line up that way. It's more like, oh, just start dating someone else, honey. Who's your mom or something, or you'll be fine. Just let it go. That's a great line in it. Just, you know what? You guys got to let it go. It's like, oh, I wish it was that easy.
Thanks, mom. Thanks, grandma.
Yeah, or your friend,
Your friend
There's a lady I was talking to this week, and she's like, my friend that lives across the street, and she's negative, and she's just telling me like, fuck him. I'm like, stop talking to that friend. And she's like, I'm like, it might be a good friend for other reasons when you want to get your refund on something in town or something like that, because she lives in a small town. I said, but right now, even though this guy did some bad things or you're upset with him, it doesn't help you that she wants to go for his throat and she's telling you to do this. It's just, it's too much. And it's not that easy. It's not that easy. When you ask how to let it go, they can't tell you how. Well, I mean,
it's generally,
it's just not general, that. Well, that's why I always tell people, like, let's talk in a coaching session. You can't cure everything, but you'll feel better breaking it. Letting go of a relationship, especially if it's, it's been a long time, there's a lot of parts to it. I don't think it's that simple at all. What I do think is you can kind of loosen up things to a point where eventually you're going to be able to let it go cleaner. You just have to redefine why you're holding on to it.
Right.
That still takes time for your mind to process, because if you think about it, if you've been in a relationship for 5 years, it's kind of like you brush your teeth every night, I hope, or it's hard to get out of that routine in your mind. So like if I do a 2-hour session with someone and we talk about it, I might just change perspective a little bit so that when you're ready or you redirect the ship towards that area. Whereas if I just say to let it go, you might just get really frustrated and annoyed.
Like you said, like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean just let it go?
Right. And that's just exactly why when people want to talk about no contact now, it's not easy. It's not easy. All right, well, let's talk about it. You know what I do? I'll be like, all right, don't do no contact then. Let's go down that. It's like, why are you telling me this? No contact's better. Now you're building a case for no contact. See how that's a different perspective? If I just tell you that, you're like, well, I'm not doing anything. It's not working. And I was like, all right, well, let's go to the alternative. Send her a message. What's going to happen? Well, I'll send her I'm like, what do you think the consequences of that are? Now we're playing a game that's a lot deeper and more below the surface, that you're like, actually, I can see that if I do contact them, she's not going to call me anyways, or this or that.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of times when I talk to people, I'm like, I think you can contact her. Wait a minute. So
I'm
you're
breaking
saying,
the rules here.
yeah, I'm like, I've watched all it, and it's
Right,
like,
right.
well, in your particular case, this is a big one.
Seems- yeah.
You're both still attracted to each other.
Mhm.
The problems aren't that big. She was actually receptive the last time you talked. So there's so many variables
Mhm.
involved.
Sure.
All right, folks, it's been good. It's been grand. It's going to be a short one today. I'll be back on deck soon. Victoria, good to see you on the chat. Hope you're doing well. Dallas vacation. You were in the chat, I think, yesterday. Like I said, I'll be back on deck tomorrow. If anyone wants to join in the future, I have an invite link if you want to come on live and discuss some things.
Mhm.
Otherwise, Rye Flint, Laquita, Rob IS, Eduardo Martinez, Justin Brown,
JB.
and Skinner, who was first.
Hmm.
Everyone have a good day.
Have a good day, guys.
Take care of yourself.